Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch League. Thanks for sticking around during the break. Nice to hear from the Watchpoint team. I'm Mitch Leslie. I'm joined by Matthew Morello, and I am back digging into that left ear, whispering them sweet nothings about Overwatch to you. I will acknowledge to people really quickly. Now, obviously, it's on us to get this fixed, and I guarantee you we are working on it. There is a way to make it more bearable for you guys in the meantime. So, if those of you are at your PCs, you can try this out. It's just me apparently, so we can't hear Matt right now. But you can open your Start menu, go to Settings, click Ease of Access, go to the Audio tab under Hearing, which is on the left bar. Turn mono audio on, and then you should be able to hear me in both ears. Now, theoretically, I should be coming through, obviously, your stereo, and you should be able to be hearing both. That's not happening right now. We are working on it, so do bear with us. I'm hearing from a lot of you guys online, which is great. Feel free to keep doing that, trying to keep up with it all. But for now, we have a match to discuss. In fact, I'm going to probably discuss it with myself for the time being. It's going to be the Seoul Dynasty going up against the Los Angeles Gladiators. Two teams that are coming off a huge start so far to their play in this season, not counting the Vancouver Titans loss for the Gladiators. But here's your Seoul Dynasty lineup. Fitz, Prophet, Gesture Marvel, Toby, Bedosin. What is potentially the best Seoul Dynasty roster that we have seen to date? I think Bedosin is an unbelievably good ad, especially if you're going to lose someone like Jae Hong here. Gesture comes into the lineup. Now, what does his Orisa look like? Are we going to get to see much of that? Marvel has looked incredibly good across the whole host of flex tanks, and if we see his Sigma today, we should be impressed. And I don't really think I need to give Prophet too much of an introduction, but the guy's a superstar. Fitz has also really stepped up in this lineup. So Seoul Dynasty already quite a dominant victory over the Los Angeles Valiant, who many people are very bullish on right now for a good reason. They put out some really good results earlier on in the season, but the Seoul Dynasty look to not be bothered by that too much at all. The other side of things is, of course, the Los Angeles Gladiators, a roster that has many familiar faces, both old and new, to this particular lineup. Mira comes in now as Doomfist looks excellent. Birdring is going to be going up against some of his old teammates from yesteryear. OG's on this lineup with Space, and then Big Goose and Shaz to round it out. There's a heck of a lot to like about this. If you're a Gladiators fan, it's no longer sort of 2018, 2019. This is the time for you guys. Mira is young, very talented, and extremely good over a whole different clues. Now, will we see that signature Doomfist from him? Is it going to create enough space for Birdring? We'll have to find out. Let's have a look at our map set to start things off. It's Nepal to begin. That's where we head for control. Then Rialto, Eichenwald, Volskaya, Lijiang, and if we need it, we've got a couple more maps there. They'll both be control, and this could be quite the close game. We may end up needing to go to those. But yeah, I think that's something that y'all should be looking out for. And I want to see if we get Orisa comps here, because we'll see what Gesture shows on that. OG has obviously always been more dominant on a playmaking, sort of aggressive tank as well. We know his Reinhardt is very powerful. We should expect to see he and Gesture look forward to trading blows here, as that tank lineup on both sides is great. Space, I haven't had enough time, or really haven't spent enough time talking about him, but the guy's a linchpin. The guy is a young genius, and on that Sigma, I expect him to make a big difference. Now, we've seen some dive cons being played. A couple of teams have attempted to do it. We saw the Hangzhou Spark try to get the Genji in there from Godsby overnight. Didn't really do the job. Didn't look great. And that could have been an individual issue there, but also, this is tough for Genji out here. You're dealing with Brigitte, you're dealing with Sigma, you're dealing with Orisa, a lot of stuff that can stop you in your tracks. And yeah, I didn't really expect to see that out of the gates. We may still see Fitz go with it. He'll switch off the Symmetra potentially after everyone uses that TP4, but no. So it is going to be Hangzhou, Tracer, Prophet's on the May. Major point of difference here. And again, when it comes to controlling space over the middle of the map and also capitalizing on those holds, it could be a big difference maker. Gesture's been left here as sort of a loose end now. You see he just bangs the shield around there and is probably hoping to hide the fact that they're trying to flank from the Gladiators. Los Angeles are happy enough with this though. Space is there to protect Mira. Hits a... And they have point control. OG had already moved up to the point pretty much straight away. Birdring goes down, so that's one less flanking threat against the Seoul Dynasty, but Mira can still work off the side. Gesture takes a big risk trying to come forward and challenge OG there, and he leaves his left flank open. That's an easy pick off for the Hangzhou. Mira just has to step up and take a couple of shots in there. Not a great start for Seoul, and they're going to try and regroup here as quickly as they can. They'll be waiting, of course, for the Orisa to rejoin them, and Gesture, even though he's coming on 4 legs, he's pretty darn slow. A bit more like a Clydesdale than a Stallion. OG onto the point. Maywall's up though, so he does need to chill for the moment. He won't get much healing. Berdering's going to quickly jump on in and join him now. The Gladiators bolster their defenses on the point. You might see the Dynasty try and drop down on them. Fitz is in a great spot to do damage though. He needs to be challenged. You can see off screen Shazzy's trying to pressure Fitz, but doesn't push up close enough, doesn't get enough of the guaranteed damage. Fitz is able to build up the Dragon Strike now. He's going to send it straight on in. Transcendence has to be used here, but Fitz, oh, we can climb back up the one target. You're not going to get a safe hold on. OG goes down. Dragon Strike now in Gesture's direction, but the Dynasty are actually able to spread out and avoid that. And it should be pretty smooth sailing now for Seoul to regain control of the point. And they will sit there behind Gesture. Coming to the next fight now with that Transcendence advantage. Shaz isn't going to have that available. They try and use that supposedly as a response to the Dragon Strike that came through. So Seoul are well equipped here. Burdering is going to have to try and find something. And it's going to have to be with that Pulse Bomb, but you've got a Blizzard and you've got a Transcendence. No real reason for you to lose this fight out. Marvel gets stuck with, oh, yeah, OG over the edge. Now Shaz also is going to struggle. He has to walk around the edge of that pillar. He keeps a cool head though. A lot of players would have sort of just fallen off the lip there. But again, it's another essentially one fight where the Seoul Dynasty don't have to spend ultimates, so they feel very good. That lets Marvel get ready, and he's actually going to go for the flash straight away. Maybe chasing kills there, but that one was questionable. I talked Marvel up at the start of this match, and that decision there is definitely an ult that you could have saved for when the Gladiators are trying to challenge you front and center on the point. Space goes down though. Fitz comfortably dispatching him, and now Marvel can push up. I think he's trying to really channel aggression. Definitely trying to telegraph the fact that he wants to push the Gladiators back, and there could be a psychological impact to that. 57-50 though, so after a good first fight and a second fight win that Seoul don't have to spend ultimates in, now they have 4 to come in for the next one. And Prophet, he's going to do the dirty work here. No one's looking. My man's going to go for the freeze down. He actually tried to get some mouse 1 freeze on the Hunter to make sure he couldn't get out. Okay, OG's able to hold him off there. I didn't know if he somehow managed to vault himself over the edge, but it was a great halt to do with Prophet. But the damage was still done. The Blizzard still came down. Space now's trying to push forward, but that forces the Transcendence out of Bedoshan, so Space can step back a little bit more. Gesture now sat behind his shield with the Supercharger. Those ults are finally getting drawn out of Seoul Dynasty, but the Gladiators are using them too, and they are behind by a lot. It's 90% and counting now, and Gesture's able to burn Mirror down. It's looking very bad now for the Gladiators to make it back into this round.
Seoul, I mean,
only a few seconds.
This has been an easy win for Seoul. You can now hear me yet again. I said pregame is that there was a petition for your right ear, and then oddly enough, I became muted, probably because of you. Probably you're doing that because I'm trying to get the message out there about you trying to speak to people's right ears, and you're trying to silence me.
What did I? Oh, I didn't do anything, bro. Literally, I got on here.
Well, you know, the funny fact is I didn't do anything at all, but evidently it just didn't go at the time. But
you know what I'm gonna do, Matt?
What?
I'm gonna walk across our apartment complex and put a rude letter under your door.
Oh, I mean, they've already done that a few times here in this complex for me. That would be the first time.
Always barking, bro.
I'm excited for this match. What I want to talk about pregame is I think the Gladiators are going to be a much stronger team than people expect. And like Johnny mentioned on Watchpoint, I think Seoul Dynasty is a team that can contend at the end of the season for a championship. See Prophet on the main. Gets right up in the mix. He's going to use an ice block, keep himself alive, and that allows this team to pick up some kills.
I mean, what a clean start there. Mira's able to find the first pick, and still, it's the front line of the Gladiators that actually just gets mashed there. And it feels like Seoul are being the aggressors here, Matt. They're channeling a lot more lethality as they step forward. Do you think May is impacting that? Do you think May is, you know, the Prophet pick of May is setting these up?
I mean, I think May on this map in general is just extremely strong. I think May is great to set up picks in general as well. Obviously, the wall is extremely impactful. The survivability, it's almost like having a third tank out there. So we do see some changes for the Gladiators. So they'll bring in a ball with the Zarya. So OG goes Wrecking Ball. It's obviously a good disruptor to players playing close together. It's a little bit more of a divey, fast-paced comp as they bring in a Doomfist and a Tracer, too.
But, unfortunately, there's no anti-freeze in those circuits for the Wrecking Ball, and May can still stop OG in his tracks. Good point control here. I think OG attempted to try and go for a quick cap, but they caught Prophet out there. They actually bait Prophet forward, but Toby's going to rejoin now. Throws the Immortality Field in there. Prophet gets knocked out of it briefly by Mirror's uppercut, but he's able to get back to safety. Mirror, though, goes and turns on towards Marvel. With that May wall up now, the Gladiators have some time to regroup, and so do the Dynasty. Amplification Matrix is thrown down, though, here, and Toby's getting the extra healing value as well. Not going fully aggressive with it. Mirror is doing some pretty impressive things on this Doomfist map, but one pick at a time is not going to be enough.
I mean, they get a Meteor Strike there, connects it one as Birdring and OG and Mirror still alive. The support's pushing through the point, so the Gladiators will be able to flip here. So we'll see if that results in any changes from Seoul Dynasty potentially, as Birdring flash in the London spray there. So he gets to go against his former teammates. There's a lot of chatter about Birdring. Like, did he still really want to play? Like, I think he was really a player that the Gladiators, when you looked at their team and you looked at some of the additions in the offseason, he was their biggest question mark by far. Like, how good will Birdring be? And if he can be the Birdring of old, you think he can lead this team with the other pieces they have to be very competitive towards the end of the year?
Matt, it's probably because he just wanted to play the Overwatch of old as well. People are asking, like, maybe this guy doesn't want to play. Like, there were a lot of factors that probably contributed to the game not feeling quite the same for him. Now, though, he's on the Tracer. You know, he gets to do what he used to, and you can see that with this composition, the Wrecking Ball, that the Gladiators are trying to be the proactive ones now. They're trying to get aggressive, and with an early pick on Fitz and Bidoshin, it's looking really good. Fitz, for some reason, he goes away from the Hangzhou to the McCree while there's a Wrecking Ball in play. I guess he's hoping for an extra stun to stop him, maybe more to deal with Birdring, but still, it seems like it was tough for him.
It's a lot of dive between the Wrecking Ball, the Doomfist, and the Tracer. When you're dealing with this much dive, though, and you have really, 2 stuns, you have a halt and accretion, like the Zarya bubble comes in big, right? If you end up burning a stun or 2 stuns on one player and the Zarya bubble comes through, denies all that, the other team with the dive is going to run through you.
OG trying to do just that. Got stopped in his tracks briefly, but a minefield in close quarters. I'm pretty sure they say those operations for, large-scale mining and not for trying to win Overwatch rounds, but still, it worked. OG gets back to the point, though, but where the rest of his team? Birdring was able to find Prophet, but it looks like the rest of the Gladiators were preoccupied dealing with them, that OG went in on his own. A brief lapse in communication for the Gladiators, but they're back in control here on the point, and Fitz had nowhere to go. You just don't want to be McCree there. McCree likes to brood on his target from long range and not be stood right in front of him. Birdring and Mirror combine to get the kills here. And the Gladiators are in great shape to push this to a 3rd round. That wall actually maybe hurt Prophet more than it helped him, because the rest of the Dynasty couldn't touch the point.
Yeah, McCree does not want to be in those close quarter scenarios, like you mentioned, especially against a Doomfish, Tracer, Brigitte combination. All he had there was his Orisa and his Zenyatta. They used Transcendence to keep him alive, but still just so much towards the end that pushes the Gladiators over the top. So Symmetra out for Mirror just to give them a little bit of an advantage towards the point. Birdring going to play McCree, so maybe we see Tracer McCree here?
Yes.
Potentially.
Give it to me, I want it.
Hangzhou McCree is OG will be playing Reinhardt. So we don't see a ton of Reinhardt. We've seen it from the Gladiators over their last match. But still, a lot of teams that we've been seeing have been going towards this Orisa Sigma setup. Let's see how they make the Rein Zarya work.
Okay, so there's obviously a lot of opportunities for OG to get good charges when they're playing on the point. The walls, they're close to each other. That's also why I think that the Doomfist is going to be powerful. And for Fitz to stand here on the point as McCree, no matter where you are inside this square, you're at great risk of getting, I don't know, like knocked back or stunned or anything like that. So he on the McCree has to play specifically carefully. And of course, the same can be said for Birdring having to avoid Marvel's accretions. But OG now takes a lot of poke damage because that's what this McCree comp's going to do when they set up on the high ground. Mirror wants to get across, and look at he gets the Zarya shield. Immediate Immortality Field had to be forced out. Unfortunately for Mirror, though, Birdring and Chaz fall very quickly on the point. The Gladiators, looks like, Matt, they need a little bit more time to actually get that Doomfist pick before they get trounced.
Yeah, Seoul Dynasty just play that really well. What the Gladiators want to do is they want to brawl out that comp, right? They want to sit on the point. They don't want to burn the OG's shield. And then once they get close, they want to brawl with the Doomfist, the Reinhardt, the Zarya, the Brigitte. Just never actually comes to fruition. As we can see here from Marvel's POV, it's a nice halt plus an accretion comes on through. You're able to take the point here for Seoul Dynasty.
Matt, that's not even cleanup. That is absolute playmaking. So filthy. Remember, accretion's an AoE impact, so you can hit 2 people with it, I'm pretty damn sure. Marvel able to show that there. 28% on the ticker here for the Seoul Dynasty, and Well, they're going to be sitting around Marvel once more. Is Gravitic Flux is going to be key to this fight. And again, he's caught Mirror out. Mirror did get discorded, to be fair, but Marvel found the catch, like the accretion once more. And a fantastic Gravitic Flux. Matt, I hyped this guy out before the game while you were getting a coffee. But I tell you what.
I already had a coffee. I didn't go get one.
I
already had one.
Matt goes and buys coffee at 9 p.m. and puts it in his fridge.
No, that's not true. I haven't been going out, so I've just been making my own coffee, which has been
our local shop,
which has been really difficult because I can't get it to be as good as the coffee that I would normally drink. But
send me some, bro. I'm just across the hallway.
No, I'm good. I'm keeping all the coffee for myself. So the Gladiators are going to be walking into a lot of ults. I know, just going to be missing the Gravitic Flux for Seoul Dynasty. So. The opportunity.
Shaz making sure he doesn't miss the Nano.
Lining it up. Oh, there goes Fitz as he gets blown up by Mirror's Doom.
Transcendence in play, but Mirror can still find Pixie, and not if he's halted, though. Immediately stunned up again. Looks like accretion connected on the Doomfist, and Mirror's got to be feeling frustrated. This is definitely his pocket pick, but he's been shut down. 8 final blows from Mirror to 13 from Fitz. The McCree's getting work done because there's so many shields for him to work around, and even though, like I said, it'd be risky for him to play on the point, there's just barriers for him to sit behind. He just needs to hit a couple shots, a flashbang here or there, and then he's comfortable. Again, Mirror tries to go in. Again, he gets halted midway through Seismic Slam. He doesn't touch the ground. He gets suspended in midair, and he gets picked off. Perfect counter, perfect way to play against him. And Orisa players, you need to know, you are the kryptonite to so many Doomfists if you can hit those halts properly. Stunning stuff from the Seoul Dynasty. Dominating it and pretty much counter-strating exactly what the Gladiators were trying to bring.
The Gladiators try a dive composition and does not work there against Seoul as they play very standard, except they kind of use the McCree and the May instead of what we've seen in the previous games with like Tracer and Hangzhou, and they play very slow, very controlled, and that's probably just they watched the Gladiators play the other day, they saw them play some dive, saw them play some Ryan Zarya, and they come in and counter-strat them in the first match.
Matt, I'll be honest with you, the Zarya from Space did not look good.
Well,
it did not have an impact, really, at all. One final blow for Space in that last round.
But when your team can't prolong fights and you're losing fights rather quickly, the Zarya is not going to be effective, regardless of who it is. So I really wouldn't put that on Space. I think the team just in general needs to actually create more fights, let him generate more charge, get more use out of his bubbles, instead of really never having an opportunity to get that Zarya powered up.
Maybe it was an extra line of defense for Mirror, give him that bubble, but still Mirror was getting shut down by those holds pretty hard. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do with map number 1. Seoul Dynasty look imperious thus far. Let's see if they can carry it out, though, in map number 2 right after this.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Map number 1 already done and dusted. I'm Mitch Leslie, joining you by my Matt Morello, excuse me. Real quickly, if you haven't already done this, obviously I'm only coming through one of your ears right now, and I know it's painful. Trust me, I know. You can change that in your ease of access settings and set your speakers to mono, just for the time being while we get stuff sorted out. We want to make this as comfortable as it can be for you. But Matt, that didn't look comfortable at all for Mirror and the Gladiators in that last round. Look at that segue. Let's go, bro.
I mean, I still would put you a peg below Golden Boy. Golden Boy is the king of that stuff.
I did the Bruce post buffer intros in Washington, bro.
When?
And no one said anything. Like Goldenboy did. I did the team intros. I did
don't
just like
remember
him.
that.
And everyone was like,
Nobody-
no, that was okay.
Nobody remembers that. Nobody remembers that.
Oh,
But-
this guy gets such an easy ride.
But well, I think the Gladiators, look, they have a strat. They have a few different things that they're able to do that we saw worked against the San Francisco Shock. Here against Seoul Dynasty, they did not work in map number 1. Seoul Dynasty came in with a specific game plan for the LA Gladiators and what they were going to try and do. We'll see if the Gladiators have another piece in their arsenal, right, to switch things up. Maybe it's different comp. Different substitutions maybe later in the game. No subs coming in here for this map. Yeah, so we'll see from the Gladiators if they're able to try something different, or maybe it's just control maps in general where they're not able to get that upper hand against a slower, more methodical type of composition that includes McCree and May.
I mean, I love that we're in a meta where you can sort of play your comfort picks and Prophet is still playing May. Oh, that's so brilliant.
Tells you something about May, right?
This impish
like
smile on his face while he just freezes people. Rialto is going to be our second map, ladies and gents. We're going to jump in there in just a moment. And again, I mean, you should expect to see plenty of Orisa here. Holt very powerful, especially over the first part of the map. And yeah, maybe we get that Fitz McCree again. I'm about it.
It's crazy too, right? Prophet is such a good tracer when some of the tracer we've seen at the beginning of the games. Today, it's like you want to see him play those, but May is so strong. You can't really fault him for doing it. Taking one for the team, but it'll be the Gladiators on defense. They'll be playing the Tracer here. Tracer Doomfist with the Rein Zarya. So they're going to go with this Rein Zarya yet again.
Okay, so give Mira a bit more time or make it harder to sort of CC him. I mean, against Double Sniper, it could be really good, but a lot rests on Mira's shoulders. I think this guy, he's not a one-trick, but this definitely seems to be right where he's comfortable. But he actually has to dominate if that's what he's going to play here, I think. Otherwise, you shut him down.
Is this just a Sonic Arrow and then maybe a peek on the Widow? Let's see. See if they decide to...
Doomfist yet.
Yeah. See if they decide to change after. Prophet. Ooh, next to the shot of going
soon as
across,
they see him.
Now they'll switch off of this Widow. They'll go Pharah. Interesting. So you'll play... nope. Gonna go Hangzhou. So you'll play Hangzhou with May. I was gonna say Pharah is interesting because you wouldn't have a Mercy. You could just play like a Harmony Orb on the Pharah.
I mean,
a little bit of a flank going on here. No,
not against a May, Matt. It's just too like you can get burned down even with Harmony. Like you can still get wrecked. Okay, look at this flank. So it's gonna be big use in Mira. Push around the side to get Bedosed, but whoa, tell you what, a hefty toll was levied there. And look, Mira's done this again. So even though he goes in and gets a big kill, they lose bird ring in space. So. You know, the Gladiators try to be the aggressors here, but as soon as Seoul realize they're getting flanked, they go forward themselves.
Seoul's going to get some payload progress out of this, too. Gladiators do come back. They'll be at full strength for this next fight. You're going to lose Marvel here, most likely, as gets pinned in the corner by 3 players and not able to make anything happen. So Prophet almost catches one with a May wall, but now you'll have Fitz play McCree. So this is what they did on Control. Different support lineup, but they were able to make it work. Let's see how they get through this choke. I guess you just methodically push up. You get a good May wall. If they try and dive, you have the flashbangs. And you have Immortality Field now to keep your team up.
OG. Chillin'. Almost has a Nurse Shatter here. And going to back off. Does get Maywall briefly. Is it enough to catch him? The Zarya bubble even used to try and keep the Reinhardt alive. Oh, he goes aggressive anyway. That's... I get the idea, but maybe he could have saved that for another fight, Matt. That one blows up in their face.
Yeah, you have no option at that point for OG. You're so pushed in. You're fully committed. You have to get past the Orisa shield, and then you may as well just drop the Shatter. You know you're going to die. If you drop the Shatter, maybe your teammates can come through and trade that kill out at least, but does not work in the Gladiators' favor. Is Seoul Dynasty, they push up, they want to take some of this space. They want to deny the chance the Gladiators contesting again. That's why Gesture uses his Supercharger as OG goes into the drink. They lose Mirror too, as Seoul Dynasty will be able to take this first point.
All right, the Gladiators need to reset properly here. OG goes down early in 2 fights where you really need to keep him alive. The first one in fairness was when he got walled and you saw the Gladiators tried to keep him alive. The second one getting halted off the map there. This Orisa Sigma composition has looked better than the Rein Zarya one the entire time that we've seen it played in this series. OG now without an Earth Shatter, of course. He tried to use it beforehand, so something's got to give. There's got to be something else. Is there more depth to the Gladiators?
It's also hard to play this without, like, Lucio, right? So you have a Deadeye. We'll talk about that in a second. So you have Birdring switch over to Reaper here as well, so even more just damage from the front as Mirror gets stunned and Nano Boost goes on to Fitz.
Fitz has to go for a reload there. We got Nano Boost, and OG quickly realizes he doesn't want to deal with the Electric Cowboy, but Birdring's able to find him. He pushes up a little more, and the Gladiators switch up their style. They go for the Reaper. They want to play even more closer, even more aggressive. And Prophet actually has the Ice Block. He's done. There's no way he'd get away now. And once the cracks start to appear in the setup here for the Seoul Dynasty, that's when the Gladiators really can push forward. They had a good start to the fight. And it was also helped that Toby had to use his Immortality Field to protect his backline against that Meteor Strike.
Yeah, Birdring and Mirror up top. What I was going to mention before about not having the Lucio is, like, the Gladiators comp, you can make a lot of things happen with a Lucio if you had the speed boost, right? To close the gap in a position like this, where Seoul Dynasty just backs up, they want to kite this. They use the Amplification Matrix, and they're able to actually get one kill out of it. And, ooh, Space trying to get that kill there on a Prophet. He ends up in an Ice Block. Birdring behind enemy lines, he'll take out another tank. The Gladiators get another fight win. But you see how dangerous it is to just kind of walk into all of that fire as you're trying to close the gap. You just have to use, they have to use a rally to get close and keep everybody up.
Shaz is in trouble. One more hit after this drop and he'd be done. Yep, Fitz is able to find him. It's so easy as McCree to capitalize on those Gravitic Flux suspended targets. And it looks like this composition, Matt, the Gladiators have to be all in or they're going to get dominated. This Reaper really telegraphs the fact that they have to push past the double shields of Gesture and Marvel. So you'll see Marvel do his best to try and hit these accretions to make it really hard for them to do that. It's less of a tricky composition for the Gladiators here. I mean, this Reaper might TP just straight up behind him. It's not subtle. I mean, Mirror's down there. Fitz is going to go for the Deadeye. He gets a free reload and a kill on a Doomfist, and he's not complaining.
And Prophet's going to use the Blizzard. He'll connect with Big Goose OG in a lot of trouble as well. They end up using the grab here. Space tosses it in, and you're going to use a Death Blossom too. This signals that you're going to see changes from the Gladiators. You lose OG here at the end. Mirror just diving in. He'll have a Meteor Strike for the next fight, but they use some of those big ults. You think maybe we see some changes here for the Glads?
Well, it's back to the Tracer, man. So they're kind of feeling like the Reaper hasn't really worked out. Fitz on the Doomfist. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe it's because there was a Reaper switching off down to Tracers, so you're harder to hit. But Bedot's there. Great cleanup frags towards the end of that fight there, catching Shaz as he walked on out. And that's just another tool in your arsenal when you're Seoul Dynasty now with these changes to your roster.
And do you decide to stay on the Zarya, which is interesting because you burn the grab and didn't really get much of anything with it. As Prophet will freeze up space, he'll take him out. You see how aggro the Gladiators have to do to make any play happen is they do push on forward, but look, everybody's so weak. Marvel takes out one with his Gravitic Flux. Birdring, he'll be dealt with rather quickly, and although the Gladiators push forward, they get the action they want, it's still not enough to win a fight.
Yeah, even with Birdring, so he switches back to the Reaper from the Tracer because obviously he sees that Fitz is probably was no longer playing the Doomfist, but Birdring looks like he's trying to get a favorable matchup. I don't think he's feeling super comfortable.
How do you win?
He's just trying to counter.
How do you win the neutral here as Mirror goes in yet again and gets taken out? How do you win the neutral against a May McCree when you're going to be playing the Doom and the Reaper? I just don't think you can do it, especially now that you try and match with the double shields.
Well, not when you have Fitz being given a ton of space, right, to work. Space is actually the player has to switch over now towards the Orisa Sigma setup because they realize what they're trying to play is not working. Better late than never, Matt, but they've lost so much progress in this map from playing a composition that Seoul just had all figured out. The Dynasty get across the line with a minute 15 on the clock to spare.
Well, the issue at the end is not necessarily the lineup of tanks you're playing. When you're playing the Orisa Sigma, it's when you combo those with the Doomfist in the Reaper. Like, you're all in on that backline. And if you just sit and play the neutral, like, you'll have the McCree, you'll be able to burn down the shields a little bit faster, and you're just going to have to, for the Gladiators, just keep backing up, backing up, backing up. The Brig can't really heal the flankers, and neither can the Ana, because you have the double shield in the way. So it makes it very difficult for Mirror and Birdring to get anything done.
A minute 15 on the clock. Again, Rialto is that kind of map where you just don't expect teams to have large time banks. These escort maps generally don't lend themselves to that at all. And I think that right now the Gladiators are considering, okay, so the composition we tried to use just now, it didn't work, but we were defending. Does do things change now that we are the ones that set the pace of play now? We're the ones that look for these picks. They may opt to go for it again. I think OG's going to play D.Va, but, you know, would you rather see them play the Orisa Sigma and just sort of make use of the Doomfist somehow without Mei walls, or try and make this Ryan Zarya composition work?
I mean, I would rather see them... Like, I think you can play the Doom, but not with the Reaper, like in that type of double shield scenario, right? I think you can play the Doomfist, try and have them go in, get picks, get out, but I think not having any like long range like damage to match that McCree, and even when they're playing the McCree plus the Mei, right? Mei can put down some damage on the shields as well. It's very difficult, and especially like diving on the Immortality field in a Mei and a McCree, it's not easy either. So it could be proving to be very difficult for the Gladiators today.
All right, again, get Mira in there. Get him in there and get him those kills, otherwise you're going to be struggling. And the problem is that when Mira goes in, get ready for the Dynasty to try and push into you. That's when Seoul changed gears, when they realize there's only 4 players they're pushing into. Birdring, passively observing Marvel here. At least draws out the shield, but that can be repositioned in a couple seconds. They're trying to find a way around it. This is not a normal approach.
No, well, they're trying to get close. I mean, you have to close the gap if you're this comp for the Gladiators. And there's not really many ways to do it. You can't just kind of walk down the Orisa. Eventually your shield will get burned down. So you lose space.
I mean, I get what they're doing here, right? They need to get the high ground, Matt, but they can't send Birdring on his own to deal with Marvel because Tracer just gets ruined in the 1v1 by Sigma. So they all have to go up and take the high ground. But losing space there, just from a pick-off from Bidosin, you can't afford to have that happen. You need to get the high ground without losing anyone and then make good use of it. Shaz lucky to be alive there. He's just able to back away from the lip of the edge as Gesture had halted him forward, couldn't hold him off the map. Does Gesture have Fortify? Yep, you better believe it. Uses it straight away. Mira's not able to find the finish on him. Card is also not moving, but Mira has him in close quarters now. They've managed to finally force some positioning out of Seoul that lends itself to the Doomfist actually being able to get these multi-kill scenarios.
And they use a nano boost there onto the Brigitte, although Big Goose does get burnt down pretty quick, does enough damage to turn the tides. Seoul Dynasty can come back here though and contest Mitch. You'll have a Supercharger, Gravitic Flux, Blizzard coming online, a lot of ultimates to be able to get a hold.
Mira looking for a wall. Okay, drop in here, but Ocean goes for the Transcendence immediately. That just values the Immortality. Transcendence and Immortality feel both used there, but cleverly Bidosin still gets extra value by pushing forward now. And once more, the thing with Meteor Strike is, Matt, it's hella obvious, right? Yeah,
hella obvious.
Right?
Yep.
It's very telegraphed though. So you have so much time as Seoul to go, oh, well, while Meteor Strike's happening, there's only 5 of them. Mira can't actually take action until he chooses to drop down. So this Transcendence of Bidosin just popped to stay alive. Now we're going to use that by shoving it down their throats.
Yeah, we'll see from Bidosin's POV. Some nice shots there on the Shaz. So good to see Bidosin back in action here this year with Seoul Dynasty as you have a bunch of players come over from the London Spitfire. As LA Gladiators, they want to try and get high ground. You're going to get close to a grab. You got the Shatter, but let's see how OG tries to get past this shield. It's going to prove to be very difficult yet again.
Nano boost to OG. Look how much damage he still took anyway. Mira now trying to come in second. OG's the main threat. Mira comes in from the side. This time, the Doomfist is able to avoid scrutiny and get in there, but the Deadeye from Fitz, he has so much room. He's just sitting back on the bridge. He's able to find 2, and a Nano boost committed to OG doesn't come up with the goods. It has to be a Graviton Surge for space. It feels like it took him, Matt, a long time to get here and get this ultimate ready. Only, 3 minutes to get that Graviton Surge, but he found it.
But it's not really like on him per se, is you're not giving him an opportunity to get charged. Like if you don't have charge on the Zarya and your team's just losing these fights constantly, you're never going to be able to get charged up. Toby.
And he couldn't, that's it. It's not an AKM blade situation, right?
And Toby, as soon as, so this is interesting, so he switches off of the, he was playing out Baptiste, and he'll go over to Brigitte, because you see this aggressive dive coming in yet again. The Reaper comes back out, the Wrecking Ball as well. You need more CC to be able to stop that, so you bring in the Brig.
OG was able to get away, but only just before. Mira gets a Zarya bubble after he dives in, so it's actually just to let him get out alive. Who didn't get a bubble was OG though, and he was fully committed. He didn't have the luxury of getting out with Seismic Slam like Mira did. So he drops. So Mira now really needs to double down on some of these kills. He'll maybe just wait the Transcendence out. Bidosin in trouble. Yep. One little flick there. It was almost impossible to see. Primary fire from Mira finished the kill off. He didn't have to use another key cooldown, and now they can clean up the fight.
So that'll be the payload continuing to move for the Gladiators, and if you're going to use the Zarya bubble on Mirror, or really anybody with the comp that the Gladiators are running, they have to result in kills. Gesture comes in, he'll fortify to try and make a play to play defensively here.
This setup is working for Birdring. 16 final blows for him. This second half has been monumentally better. Oh! Fitz dropped down just as the rocket punch came in, but he actually had to cancel the Deadeye by the looks of things. He gets out alive though, doesn't get taken down by the Doom, but again, it's the rest of his team that steps up. Fitz able to find one. Mira late in the fight. I mean, Mira wants to have at least 1 or 2 kills to his name by that point. If you want to play a prolonged fight with the Doom Fist, you need your Reaper then to be really doing a lot of the consistent damage.
You probably didn't need the Blizzard there towards the end. You had about 2 to 3 player advantage there for Seoul Dynasty, and Prophet ends up using that Blizzard. You would definitely love to have that for the next fight, but still, you're going to have, what, 6 ultimates here for the Gladiators pretty much. Shaz will be able to build up this nano rather quickly. It's going to be very difficult regardless for Seoul Dynasty to hold on. Brig Rally, could keep everybody up on the point. Maybe a nano boost onto whether it be one of the tanks or the McCree for the extra damage.
Good minefield here for OG. Could make a big difference. Just get some displacement here. This setup from the Seoul Dynasty is so positioning oriented. If we can interrupt that, then there's opportunities to find some of these kills. Mirror back behind the payload. Straight into medial strike now. Do we see any ultimates forced off of this one? Doesn't look like it. Rally is in play. Mirror trying to get through the shield, but Gesture definitely sidesteps, gets on the other side of that little bubble, and he's alive. He's happy, but Mirror was able to push back in. Toby and Prophet go down in the meantime, and Shaz is just keeping everyone topped up. Accretion does connect. Into the sky goes Marvel, and he is very low on health. The Gladiators get through, Matt. They get a time extension. They're in this.
A minute and 50. And no ultimates here, though. Fitz comes down. He's actually able to take out 2 throws. He had Prophet on Tracer, connects with another. So you may not be able to get a ton of payload progress, right? Because the defense is going to spawn a little bit closer. They're going to be able to get back. Now with the Mei, you play this like massive control game, right? Like you can use the Mei wall in the chokes as you go from B to C to really slow them down and just dwindle clock. That's all you need to do right now if you're Seoul Dynasty. Just drag it out, drag it out, drag it out. The LA Gladiators need to be the aggressors here.
Again, that may require Mirror to find these kills. Remember, it gets hard for Birdring. He wants to get into the backline, but Prophet putting up a wall in this choke, for example, he has to go the long way around. It's just not easy unless he TPs to the top of the wall and gets flashed immediately by Fitz as he comes out of that animation. Either way, it's not great for him, so we'll see how the Mei wall gets used here. Gesture, little low. OG giving a Zarya bubble. Mirror misses his target and he gets caught out, man. He was going into the backline to look for Bedosin, but he pulled up short or he hit a pillar. Either way, it didn't work out. And Birdring teleports in. Fitz heard it. Got ears like a bat. Throws that flashbang down and gets rid of him now. This nano boost for OG, unfortunately, is, well, it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, nothing you can do to really survive that. So he walks right into the face of a Deadeye McCree. Prophet, it's a little bit more ult charge there. Heal himself as he's up about 80%. Is good ultimates to close this out. And
yeah.
we saw
it has to be a grab.
Yeah.
I know Nene Matt is somewhere. Nene's palms are sweating and he doesn't know why.
It's the exact part of the
this
map
has to be
too,
a
right?
Grab.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a Gravitic Flux Supercharger combination, and then even if that doesn't work, you have a Blizzard coming up here for Seoul Dynasty.
Supercharger down preemptively here. Attempted LOS here for the Gladiators. Yep, they're going to try and flank Marvel. Gravitic Flux holds OG in place, but it gets Marvel charged. They can't touch, though. No chance for the Gladiators to keep the round going, and the Seoul Dynasty make it 2-0 on the trot in this series, emerging very rapidly as one of our most dominant Pacific rosters.
And in the second to last fight, I think you saw the difficulties that Birdring is under in this composition. Mirror goes in, misses the punch, he drops. We really focus on that. But to the right-hand side of that, and to when we're watching from Fitz's left side POV, that's where Birdring is TPing from. When they know the Doomfist is out, you have a few seconds, you can just kind of look around and find the Reaper, and then they just get a flashbang and they take him out instantly. That if Mirror's not causing chaos, Birdring can't get those free TPs in to really make an impact.
Well, the Gladiators now stand on the precipice of defeat here. They managed to go all the way and get that win against the Shock, but the Dynasty seemed like a different beast completely. We'll see if they can hang on and stay in this series after these messages.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hello and welcome back to our game break presented by Cheez-It Grooves. Seoul is currently up 2-0 and they are looking phenomenal. There is so much going right for them. There is so much adaptation coming out of them, and they have a bit of a different style as well from what we've seen from them yesterday. So I love it. I love it across the board.
Yeah,
anyone in particular from Seoul you guys had your eyes on?
Most of them, but you know, so you and me, we knew this all along, right? That Seoul would win this.
I
match.
forgot. I just forgot that I went for Gladiators. Oh, no.
We did not. Don't worry.
No. Me and Zoe on point as usual. Yeah.
But there is so much synergy on that team. Honestly, they look like they've been playing together for actual ever. Our stats guy, Matt, tweeted it out. They look choreographed. The way they're setting stuff up for one another is absolutely beautiful. Marvel, on that first map, 90% of his accretion stuns actually resulted in a kill. That is phenomenal. 90. 9-0.
Big number.
Big
number.
Yeah.
10 stuns and 9 kills results from that. That's
ridiculous. The person who's really been standing up for me a lot has been Fitz, honestly. He's someone that I had a lot of doubts about. You know, as I talked a lot about Prophet, but I was like, can his DPS partner step up? Fitz has been incredibly good on the McCree, pretty much anything that he's been required to play, also the Hangzhou. So I've just been really impressed with that, like overall. But it's just the team synergy across the board. Yesterday, we saw them play the one style of the aggressive dive, and we were really impressed. But some teams have like one style under their belt, and that's all they can do. Seoul is sort of proving that. They're playing the sort of meta, sort of double shield tank with the McCree and the May, and they're just absolutely shutting everything that the Gladiators throw at them down.
But it seems like they're playing with an objective, right? They came up with a game plan, and they must have studied Gladiators' game plan from yesterday when they played sort of aggressive as well. And it just shows that Seoul Dynasty have prepared for this match, and they look so on point together as a team. Like Toby and Bedosian in the backline are like firing on all cylinders and getting so many frags. So it's super impressive to see this coming out of Seoul Dynasty. It's what I wanted to see going into the season, and it's finally paying dividends, and I love to see it. Love to see it.
Well, and if we want to look at the other side here, I think this is going to work well as a crunch time presented by Cheez-It Grooves, because like Gladiators, kind of the opposite. We did not see the same level of adaptations. Guys, how can they crunch harder?
the crunching of the Gladiators, I'm just trying to slide this in, but the crunch time is Gladiators are not adapting at all. They need to be crunchier, because what it feels like is that they're playing with Mirror on the Doomfist, and he's the only one who's really not making any adaptation, and that's sort of pigeonholing them in what they can do. As we talked about, Seoul has the counter comp in the fact that they're playing the double shields, they're playing the May, they're playing the McCree. That's really hard to play Doomfist into. So, but he's the only person who hasn't really changed. You see Birdring sort of changing his character to try and make it work. You're seeing the tanks sort of mess around a little bit. But as long as they're stuck on this Doomfist, I think it's really hard for them to sort of get any progress, because Seoul is just hard carrying them. So I want to see adaptation coming out of the Gladiators, because they have the players and they have the depth to be able to do it, but they just sort of seem to be stuck in their own ways.
Well, at least if you're playing the Doomfist, right? Go all out, because what we're seeing is that Mirror is playing the Doomfist, and then you have OG playing the Reinhardt, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe if you can't dive hard enough against this double shield composition, maybe you should just put OG on the Wrecking Ball. And we saw that a few times, that OG swapped it up, and it depends on the map. Like, you can't really play ball on defense, Havana first. Like, it's obviously harder, right? But I think they should at least commit to the Doomfist. If you want to play the Doomfist, build your composition around that and stop hesitating and going half in, because as it stands, Seoul Dynasty have figured out how the Los Angeles Gladiators play, and now Gladiators, they have to figure out if they want to go all in and double down, or if you want to swap up the composition as a whole and play a bit more slower. So I want to see Gladiators be a bit more decisive about what composition they're playing.
Yeah, they definitely have to either fully commit or just switch it up a little bit, because as it stands right now, it is unfortunately not working for them. But there's still a second half to come, so let's see what adaptations they can and will be making when we're heading over to Eichenwalde. And for all the action, we're tossing it back over to Mr. X and Uber.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury. With HyperX Fury Memory.
You're just trying to farm. You're just trying to farm mentions at this point. Well, what's actually funny is while Mitch is touting that he's fixed it, I've heard from a little birdie that he hasn't. So we will be going into Game 3. It's Gladiators, Seoul Dynasty. Seoul Dynasty is up 2-0. Really, the story of this is the Gladiators, the composition that they were able to beat the San Francisco Shock with and make some good waves. With the Ryan Zarya, playing some Doomfist, playing some Tracer, just as Reaper has not worked out today against Seoul Dynasty. Seoul Dynasty has been very good adapting and using a lot of interesting compositions involving Mei, right? Mei, we know about Mei. She's pretty good. So you may as well use her. So they have profit on the Mei today, and they've been able to go up 2-0. Just looking at the game, we'll give you guys an update of whether no subs for either team thus far as we go into Eichenwald. And I think it's probably what you're going to see from both teams. You're going to see yet again the Gladiators try and go with like a Ryan Zarya-based composition, maybe with Mira on the Doomfist and try and get some dive. And then what you're going to see from the Seoul Dynasty is they're going to run the Mei, they're going to run the McCree, they're going to play much slower, much more controlled, much more calculated type of game. So we'll see if the Gladiators are finally able to push over the line. From my opinion, from where the game stands right now, it's going to be very difficult. I think I'm interested to see the Gladiators go and play a neutral type of game. Gladiators can pull out a double shield. They can pull out, let's say, a McCree, a Mei composition, right? We haven't seen that from them thus far, where maybe they would have put in Jaru for something like that, but they're going to roll with Birdring and Mirror yet again, maybe try and get the coordination on those dives a little bit better. Maybe that can result to some more fight wins for the Gladiators. So the game is ready. We should be able to jump into that in a quick second and get underway as Mitch. Now he taps out for a little bit and I take over as looks like, well, we'll find out when his audio comes back. But to be honest, I mean, there's probably a lot of people out there who are totally fine with his audio. That they keep it off. You're hurting my left ear. You don't want to give my right ear any love. And that's okay. It's okay, because I'm here for you guys. And it'll be the Gladiators on defense to start things up. So we'll talk a little bit about what the Gladiators' composition is, what they've run already. We'll have Birdring on the McCree this time. What I'm interested in is what we see on the left side of the screen from Seoul Dynasty. Seoul Dynasty is coming out. Looks like a potential Wrecking Ball Diva combination, which is an interesting look from Marvel, as Marvel played the main tank for Seoul Dynasty last year, now playing in like kind of an off-tank role next to Gesture. You'll have Toby on the Mercy to complement Prophet's Pharah. Prophet, a tremendous Pharah player. Well, no, not anymore. They've debated us off. They're going back to running Mei. So I know everybody's super happy to see them go from Pharah to Mei. Just a jump shot over the building for Fitz. He most likely will go play McCree. Toby will play the Baptiste. So it's really mirror of what we've seen on the last two maps outside of Birdring on McCree. Can Birdring's McCree make the difference here? Seoul Dynasty, they'll move on through the choke. Yeah, pin from OG right away. He's going to get burned down. It may have been a play they were trying to set up. Maybe they thought that Prophet was a little bit out on his own, but that is a big loss there for the Gladiators.
Hey, look at that wall as well, mate. No chance for Mira to follow up with any sort of punch. Yeah, well, I'm apparently back. Apparently, you probably heard me opening a protein bar and eating it, so looks like some of the sound has returned. But am I in both ears? That's the big question. So I do want people to let me know if that's working. Anyway,
I was told you weren't coming back.
I thought about it. But then I realized that I'm getting paid to do this, so I'm going to stay.
True.
Tough decision, of course. Had a lot of pros and cons to weigh. But look at this. The Dynasty have made their way in with a heck of a lot of time, and they're still using this this Mei McCree composition really effectively. It feels like Mira just can't get much done.
Seoul Dynasty. Push on forward, get some more kills. 5 minutes on the clock to get from point A to B is big, as I don't know if you were too busy eating your protein bar or whatever you were doing, but did you see OG go with that wild charge in at the start?
Yeah, that's
that was poor.
classic OG though. We did say that though. I thought like OG would be looking to trade blows a lot. It's just showing that Gesture hasn't really given him a Reinhardt to fight against. It's been the Orisa Sigma composition that the Gladiators have had to deal with, and a nano boost here on a Mirror just to get him in. Space though doing the real good work, getting rid of that immortality field, and that will stop the car in its tracks.
Oh, a Transcendence here from Bedosian?
Why? Why?
All right, well, you get the Transcendence out. It's all right, it's good. Well, hey, they're keeping this going, though. The cart continuing to move. You have Marvel on the cart. Fitz picks up one. Like,
Mirror
you may
reaching
be
for
like
more.
moving this here.
Mirror kept going for more and more, man. He went to the back line, and then when he
in
used
the
that
world is
Meteor
this?
Strike, he ended up on top of the building out in the open. That, I mean, the Transcendence, like, let's be honest, it didn't really give a lot of value.
A solo Blizzard here on OG on the high ground is... This is devolved into chaos rather quickly.
Yeah, whatever it is, Matt, though, it is working. They're making their way through. And, yeah, it sounds like my audio is finally fixed, so God bless. Big shout out to our techs getting stuff sorted.
Oh, you have both ears now.
Apparently. I don't know. I can't hear it. I only have to hear people.
That's true. I
tell
heard
me
you
about
both
it.
ears the whole time, so I had no idea what the hell was going on.
5 on the clock here, though. Profit. Well, that's probably not the most efficient way to work a Ryan shield down, and that was a nice biotic grenade by Shaz there. That's a good compliment. Sets up the Graviton Surge, and it's comfortable kills now. Still, having lost that checkpoint here, the Gladiators are probably feeling a little bit sore about that. They would have loved to have held at the door a little longer, but now with a Reaper in their composition and Mirror finally switched into the May, they can turn up the heat, or not actually, as that may be the case. Play close here and get a lot of value out of Reaper.
The fight wins just seem so much harder, though, for the Gladiators than they are for Seoul Dynasty, just in terms of, like, the compositions that they're running. Like, Seoul is able to win their fights pretty convincingly. They're, like, Sten fights for a while. The Gladiators have to invest so many resources. Everything has to go right for them to win some of these. It'll be a Deadeye from Fitz trying to open things up as Profit ends up falling, so no push going on now.
Deadeye there as well, used by Fitz. I'm pretty sure he just had to pull the plug on that one and get the heck out. Space, I mean, the closer he gets to another Grav, Matt, that's the real stopper ultimate here. Now they have Grav and they have that Blizzard combo. Reinhardt also looking to get big shatters inside this small space. I'm favoring this composition from the Gladiators in this part of the map at the very least.
Yes, they can be brawly in this part of the map, specifically. That is a good point. Right here at this initial choke and then further through from point B to point C, you can play a much brawlier play style. It's just when they lose a fight, how do they bounce back? How are they able to get control back? It's I don't want to say it's easy, but they're in a position where they don't have to push on forward, right? They don't have to walk the other team down. So that'll be a shatter from OG.
So cute.
Oh, the immortality field seems Fitz.
Yeah, and I mean, OG almost put his foot in it, Matt. Had he followed up on that charge, he could quite easily been picked off, but still that necessitated the Blizzard to also be used. So a couple of big ultimates there. But OG is not treating his Shadow like a team fight winning ultimate, and you shouldn't against double shield. If you can get individual picks on priority targets with Earth Shatter, then you go for it. That's value here, because honestly, trying to do anything else is like trying to get a camel through the eye of a needle with so many shields, and especially such a condensed choke area. Just get what you can with Ryan's Shatter.
And even with these holds from the Gladiators that have looked quite good at this moment in time on this point, still 2 minutes and 40 seconds for Seoul Dynasty. Still a lot of time here. That'll be a grab coming on through. Connects
Great
with
wall.
two.
Wall was great. Keeps most of the Dynasty alive. Transcendence also being used. Oh my god, Space got nuked down so fast. I can't even tell where it came from. It says Gesture killed him, but he couldn't have. That was just 400 damage straight to the kisser real fast. Gesture gets a second. Goose and OG have shields to work with here, and yeah, the Brig out in the open. Gesture had already backed up, and Fitz was left out to dry.
As a Gesture gets really low. Another hold comes through. They still want to fight this, as he's going to get some heals from the Batiste from range. So you try and push up. You don't have a Blizzard. Oh, you've trapped OG, though. He's in a real tough spot. Halt, plus the May wall. You freeze him. There's Zenyatta in there as well. Is that the pick to get the car moving again for Seoul Dynasty?
Marvel, Accretion. Doesn't find it, but yeah, here's an opening. Bird rings down. Now they can step up with a bit more confidence. With Big Goose out of the picture, there's nobody to stop this May, and they will push forward. Marvel taking a bit of a power nap here, but why not? Burn enough calories in the last couple moments anyway, just slanging them hyperspheres like Drake. And they push around the corner. Look how far forward they had gesture.
When did Drake acquire hyper spheres?
No, you know that gif of Drake just like throwing stuff, and then everyone changed it to him throwing different things. No. You know he's like throwing stuff.
No, I don't know that one.
Dude, you're such a boomer. I can't believe you don't know that meme. Fitz finds Mira though with a dead eye.
I'm not updated on my memes.
Wow, you're the last person I really would have thought to be behind on that, but fair enough.
Yeah,
OG gets a bubble.
Or am I
from
trolling
space.
you right now and you'd never know?
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah,
OG
I actually
and
did
the rest
know.
of the
I was just
Gladiators?
pretending not to know.
Yeah,
Good
push
one.
on forward. You would never know. Profit dies on the card. Probably one really good opportunity for Seoul Dynasty, maybe a second, last desperation type of scenario. But really, I mean, this is going to be their final chance to get this over the line. Supercharger Transcendence, with the composition they have and how slow they're going to get to the cart, this is definitely their last chance now. And they're going to be going into the rally plus a nano boost to grab here as well, as Space being very aggressive. So you probably want to get a good grab in one of these shows.
All right, nano boost let go. That one's for OG here. He even gets a bubble. Everything's been put with OG right now. What can he get done with this? Space realizes maybe not enough. He's going to push around the corner and try and get rid of Profit, but he's taken down. He gets a grab, but there's just a Transcendence in there. The door is now open for the Seoul Dynasty. Birdering is down. Gesture looking happy about that one. They can push up and try and ride this one home, and the stragglers from the Gladiators are just trying to hold them off, but it's a David and Goliath situation now as the Dynasty have everyone on the cart pushing home.
Both supportals in the grab, and you don't get a fight win Profit with a main wall up to the high ground. Walls off Mirror. Deadeye coming in from Fitz on the backside. He'll take Mirror out.
Big
Gravitic flux. Everybody goes up. Everybody comes down into a blizzard as Seoul Dynasty complete the map. As, man, the Gladiators, both support ults and a grab, they're still not able to get a fight win to keep them at the choke.
See, I think, look, giving that grab and that bubble to OG, you are opting into what could be a clown fiesta, right? He has to go forward without Shadow, by the way, and try and find some of these kills. And it was very hard because quite easily the Seoul Dynasty, without Lucio, was still able to disengage back over the broken door and make it hard for OG to find anything. That's when Space goes, oh damn, this isn't actually working out at all. Now I need to try and make a play. So he pushes the right side, tries to drop a grab in there. He dies, doesn't kill anyone in the grab, and all of a sudden it just falls apart.
Yeah. It was a big old mess there from the Glads, but we'll see if they can put together a good offense, get a map win on the board. Is desperately needed, being down 2-0. So Seoul Dynasty, they continue to look very strong. Mentions Johnny thinks they're a championship contender, but Johnny, he changes his predictions every week just to get upvotes on Reddit and whatnot. But for this week they're good. This week they're
Johnny
good. Maybe next week they're not.
But
I agree
made
with Johnny,
an appreciation thread for Custer and Zoe.
I agree. Really?
Yeah, he was the one that made it. So
that's really funny. So I agree with Johnny, though, of his assessment of Seoul Dynasty. I think they have all the pieces to really be a championship contender this year.
Show me the money, Seoul Dynasty, or in this case, the W will be enough. I can involve them and they can take the series here now. It really depends on what the Gladiators can get done. And the Gladiators, they're practicing a specific composition and they're not changing it much, and I get that. Now, so many people are going to be in chat like, oh, why aren't they doing anything? Oh, that's cute, Mirror. We love that. But this is what they practiced, and they have to play it properly to see if it's really going to work or not.
I mean, look, they've had success with this, at times. It's just I think Seoul Dynasty has played really well, a really slowed, controlled game today, and they've been able to control the pace, not let Mirror make a big of an impact in the backline.
Birdring, B flanking. Okay. Oh, nice! Mirror punches the wall. Who's the filthiest one of all? Toby goes down early, nailed into the wall. And yeah, Profit's not going to survive much longer. This time, Mirror gets the first pick. It seems like that's something you can always count on. But this time, the rest of the Gladiators were there to capitalize. And that is beautiful. Great execution. Not an easy point to open up, Matt, but they have done just that.
Yes, they don't expect Mirror to be all the way on the flank. He comes around uncontested, able to get an early pick off, and it's kind of like Feast or Famine when you play with that Doomfist, right? You're either going to get the first pick off, steamroll through the fight, or Mirror's not going to be able to do anything. You're going to have to invest a Zarya bubble on them. They can then pressure down OG, and it all falls apart after that. So a lot of this comp revolves around Mirror being able to make a difference on the Doomfist.
Mirror just playing out of line of sight of the Sigma here, but needs to still be wary of the Hyperspheres. He gets the Nano Boost this time. Where does he go? Marvel gets hit by that one. There's a follow-up there from Space. And again, Mirror is the tip of the spear, and the follow-up is there. I don't really think Prophet wants to be on the payload right now, but he got knocked there and he's got no choice. Mirror gets the cleanup, he gets the glory moment, he gets the Tetley drop, and now he's back on the card.
Now you see how strong Doomfist can be when he gets rolling, right? He gets a nano boost. He has about 400-something HP at the end of that with some shielding and some Brig armor on top. And the payload will continue to roll as Big Goose gets off it to go play up in front with the team as Shaz, he'll be able to heal from a nice safe distance, but the Gravitic Flux comes in early here from Marvel.
Yeah, it's just to get them out, but it only catches OG, who doesn't obviously really care about that one. Earth Shadow doesn't get much, but again, it's hard to find those big shadows against double shield. OG is going to go for a little bit more of a direct approach. He gets the charge in, and now the Gladiators, they're showing signs of life, and they are looking well ahead of the curve here on this map. They're going to have an obscene amount of time to hit that last point with.
Well, when they control space and they're able to force these fights in close quarters scenario, that's where this composition thrives. It's just when they have to play at a distance from Seoul, and Seoul can kite and move around and avoid just kind of the death ball. That's the Doom, Reaper, Reinhardt, Zarya, Brigitte combination. That's when they're seeing success. Seoul Dynasty on the defensive end.
Can they catch Prophet with this Meteor Strike? No, Mirror's just going to try and get rid of the Supercharger. That makes sense. He'll pay for it, though, with his life, and that's not the trade you're looking for if you're the Gladiators here. You've already committed so many ultimates in, you're going to go for even more. It's good money after bad. Fits, Deadeye, finds space. But there was a grab in there, too, somewhere, Matt, and that feels awful. 3 key ultimates, no result.
Yeah, well, you end up having them invest the Graviton Surge. They use both support ultimates for Seoul Dynasty. Now you know going into the next fight, at best case they have Blizzard, maybe a Gravitic Flux, where you can maybe get a Death Blossom that's actually meaningful here, potentially from Birdring.
Well, they got plenty of time to work with here. I mean, if they, at this point, I'm not a betting man, but the odds would definitely be in the Gladiators' favor here. The problem is that if they start to lose that momentum, we've seen it shift. Overwatch is one of many games where you can get that snowball effect against you. Here's a Blizzard. OG's caught in that one. I don't think you see any investment here from the Gladiators. Mirror's also not going to get out of this one. Prophet trying to make sure he's standing on the right side of the wall if Mirror throws it up, but there is none. Immortality field. Oh, Birdring comes in with a quick double here. I don't know if that's going to be enough to break this. It's 4. It is enough. He gets 2 with the Death Blossom, and that's not when you're expecting it as Seoul. That is just an individual going for a play and hoping it works out. I'd be shocked if that was a call that came across the team and that was set up. That is just one of those freak of nature occurrences where Birdring just gets the job done.
I mean, I mentioned getting a big Death Blossom off. Did not expect that from the Reaper. As Birdring lurking up top. Ooh, nice Wraith Form to dodge the flashbang, but the accretion is enough to pick him off.
Yeah, kinetic. Gravitic Flux, should I say. Marvel slept in mid-air as he was suspended. It's going to be the Transcendence, but it's not enough to save Prophet. Mirror's still able to find a kill, even though Prophet was getting Zen healing. OG gets rid of Fitz now. OG has to back up a little bit here, but Marvel and Gesture are next on the chopping block. Marvel trying to kite back. He has Kinetic Grasp at just the right time, and it's enough to keep him alive. Sigma, so hard to get rid of at times like this, and that Amplification Matrix from Toby was just what the Doctor ordered.
So now the Glad still in a good spot, though. 2 minutes and 49 seconds and counting. They'll have a Blizzard for this fight with a grab. No support ultimate. You're really looking at Toby's Immortality field here to save the day. Maybe a Deadeye to deter some of the follow-up from these big key ultimates. It's going to be very difficult for Seoul to get a hold, though.
Blizzard, Graviton Surge. All good at holding the Dynasty in place. 2 minutes 22. You can hear the music already reaching crescendo in the background. The game knows that the Gladiators are close, but Seoul don't seem to want to accept it. Wall thrown up. There's a Deadeye from Fitz here. I mean, there's no way he was getting Deadeye Valley with 2 May walls in play. OG wants to push up, and Mirror just wants to get a safe Blizzard. There's no worry about DV here, so we can actually throw this one down range if he wants to. Wall goes up, trying to go for the freeze, and he's forced to fortify already on Gesture. Mirror up in the air now. It's going to be that Immortality field. Does a lot of work. Okay, finally, Prophet has to go with the Blizzard. Mirror's able to save his. That clock, though, is still dwindling. Series hopes for the Gladiators still hang in the balance.
You invest pretty heavily here for Seoul Dynasty, but that ends up farming up both support ultimates. Now your Ant Matrix used with the McCree in the back could end up getting you another Deadeye. Let's see from Benocean's POV here. Let's cleaning up some kills. But getting that Transcendence is massive. Now you have this to combat the Blizzard that'll come on through.
Here we are, Graviton Surge, OG Shatter as well. All the ultimates being used here in the Seoul Dynasty, but there's nothing they can really do. Even with the Transcendence in play, Toby, the burst damage was provided by OG to make sure that that kill was confirmed. There's still 2 players up for Seoul, but they are a long way away from the cart.
Moving,
the Gladiators are going to run this in now. Okay, we have a Diva back already. Classic stall from the golden ears of Overwatch when you can have 5 Divas. Marvel going to try and step up here and prolong this one for as long as he can, and frankly, it looks pretty good. Fitz, well, Mirror actually goes for an ice block there. Cart gets home, only just though. And what we saw from the Gladiators, they had more than a minute left, but because their timer dropped so low, Seoul just got themselves a chance to now go on the attack as well.
Yeah, it's 2 players, I believe, really far out of position for Seoul Dynasty. Not really out of position, but they take a fight close and they don't die fast enough. I'm sure Gesture would have loved to get taken out and then respawn with the rest of his team. The Gladiators just kind of leave those 2 players in the dust. They run straight to the cart. They're able to get it on through with 1:49 in the time bank. So that's where you see the Gladiators comp works, right? When they play in those close quarter scenarios, they can brawl. When Seoul Dynasty has to come to them, it's definitely a devastating composition.
And now, with these 2 teams so close in time, the first pick on point A is so important. The Gladiators managed to get Mirror on a long flank, the classic sort of rope-a-dope flank that until recently wasn't even really possible. Farah could do it, Doomfist obviously when he was released was able to do it. He could get in. Now the Seoul Dynasty have shown they were able to do that too, but their composition, because it features this double shield, may not have any flanking potential at all. In which case, they have to run over the top of the Gladiators and they have to just be better in the neutral game. That's what their comp is designed to do.
Yes, you do have the May that comes into play for the Gladiators, which definitely changes things up from when they were running like the Doomfist with this. Is May gives them a little bit more control with the ice walls and just the sustain in the front. So we'll see how they decide to play it. It looks like the Gladiators playing a little bit far back. Don't want to play this first choke. Is only a minute on the clock. With Seoul Dynasty's kind of slow, methodical composition, they don't have a lot of attempts at this.
Yeah, the Gladiators will only get 1 chance. There's just not that much time. Mirror down, though. That sleep dart, that's all well and good, but both Mays are down. And now, without Fitz able to do anything during that period of time, Bidoshin extremely out of position. He would want to go down as quickly as possible. Fortunately, Birdring obliges, but they've lost space, Matt. A lot of protection, a lot of shielding, and a big health pool is out of the picture now. This will give some time for Seoul to regroup. There's no Lucio right now. You cannot taxi people back to the point.
Profit on the Tracer, though. He will be able to get a touch here. Send this into OT.
Prophet steps up. He didn't realize the Birdring was around the corner, though. He took a meaty hit from the Hellfire shotgun, but now the jig is up. They know the Doomfist and the Reaper are there. Gesture gets knocked back, though, and it's a wide flank coming out now from Marvel, who wants to get in position, but Toby falls to a fire strike. Birdring got rid of the Immortality field. Marvel's able to find Shaz, but OG charges across the point, and he's in a great position to get hammer value. Looks for a shatter. Doesn't find anyone, but only 3 players are left for Seoul, and they're low on health. Prophet gets a bit of health back, but he's down. Fitz trying for a Deadeye against 4. It ain't gonna happen, Chief.
That'll be a hold from the Gladiators. Seoul Dynasty do not get a tick. No percentage earned. Now all you gotta do for the Glads is get that first checkpoint. Get that first checkpoint on point A. You will be able to extend the series, take a map. We do extend the series anyway, regardless, you know, if it would be a draw, but still, you want a map on the board.
Some time now, at least for the Gladiators, to evaluate the challenge in front of them. They worked really hard to get into this position, Matt. They had a 5.5-minute time bank going into the final stage of the map. I'm sure they expected it to be, you know, tougher going because it really is hard to push to the end of the map now. But if they fail to capture point A, it's going to be a draw in this map, and all that hard work they put out on the attack is going to go to waste. So Mirror getting in is going to be very important. OG in space, being in position, and Birdring ready to catch people. Birdring had a great setup, knowing a Tracer would touch the point last round by just whacking Prophet in the back of the head and taking about 80% of his health and forcing him to recall early.
Yeah, he was just playing off to like the left of the point, right? Right where the cart is to the left in the corner. By like where you would kind of go under that underpass and around on a flank, and he was in position to just put 1 shot into Prophet, a quick melee, forced out a recall straight away. So now the Gladiators on offense to really just 1 fight. They need to get an advantage of maybe 1 player and just keep it going towards the point, putting the pressure on, and they're in a good spot to take the map.
Almost 2 minutes. It's a good amount of time to be working with. And if they're going to start to bring this series back, this is their last chance. So Mira not going for a wide flank this time, Matt. He's actually going to play front. Maybe just trying to vary up his approaches a little bit. Gets hit with an accretion, has to be careful. And that's what the bubble from space is for. It gets him out of trouble when otherwise he could have been blown up real quick. And look, the Gladiators take space because Mira.
Yeah, the pressure he has forces them back. And now the Gladiators get on the point. You see OG just trying to swing the hammer, put some damage down. Gets frozen up a little bit, and then Gesture putting down the damage. That'll be Fitz who takes out Mirror. That's a big pick. We talked about how important it is for Mirror to get in and get pickoffs, and he's out of the equation.
And look at the stones on this guy. Fitz is going for a flank during such a crucial moment, and he fans the hammer. Not really interested in the respect.
Dude.
Yeah, gonna back away now. See space, gets a couple of extra free hits on him, and a long fight that is won by Seoul benefits them so much. And the Gladiators had Gesture right where they wanted them, Matt. But he got whip shot back by Big Goose into the rest of his team. I think Big Goose maybe expected him to be fortified, so Gesture got back to safety, but Big Goose accidentally sending him there.
And look at this. We're definitely headed potentially towards Draw City, right? Well, you'll have Shatter, which really isn't that impactful. You know, maybe get one kill in this. You'll have Rally and Nano, but you have all 6 ultimates coming online quickly here.
Oh,
nice wall from Prophet.
Unfair. Caught everyone out in the open to face the heat from the amplification matrix, and Mira is down. Matt, you said Draw City. Looking more like Quick Draw City out here as Mira just got suspended in midair. Birdering is in trouble. They tried to keep him alive. I think Shaz Nano boosted him, but he was already at half health, and yep, looking like we're going to have a draw. Deadeye here from Fitz just to cover over, and all the ults are there for Seoul Dynasty. That is a crushing result for the Gladiators.
Yeah, when you lose that first fight for the Gladiators and you don't get any ultimate charge, really, on everybody outside of like OG and the supports, you're in a lot of trouble because Seoul Dynasty, everybody builds up towards a support, an ultimate. Pretty much the only one who didn't have one at that time, I believe, was like Gesture, who was sitting at like 78, 80%, which is really just like the first few seconds of the next fight to get. They're able to get all 6 ultimates and hold that first point.
And that keeps the series at 2-0, which means that still going to be match point for the Dynasty, and it means that it's even longer a climb back for the Gladiators if they want to have a chance of taking this all the way. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. This match may yet still deliver.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and Gladiators fans, probably a little bit disappointed about what we saw before the break. Eichenwald looked like the perfect map for them to take back, Matt, to get it at least to 1 and 2 in the series and have a chance of forcing a tiebreaker. But now with that option taken away, they have to claw their way back into the series next on Volskaya.
But at least they played well on Eichenwald. The first 2 maps, it was really Seoul Dynasty who was in control of the pace of the game. The dive from the Gladiators really didn't make that much of an impact. There on Eichenwald, they were able to make it work. A lot of close quarter chokes. Volskaya, you do have a pretty tough choke at checkpoint B to get through on the offensive end. So I'm interested how they decide to play that when that comes up.
So far, the Reaper is looking better for the Gladiators than the Tracer was, though. Birdring is probably having a little bit less difficulty making impact in these fights, not only because Tracer can get stunned fairly easily, the same can happen to a Reaper, but having Death Blossom available there to make a huge play like he did to allow the Gladiators to finish the map, it was actually looking like they'd run out of time at that point. He's able to step up and be that Birdring of old, the old ring, if you will, that we used to love watching back in 2018. So it's a pleasure to see that that is still an option the Gladiators have with him on this roster.
We do have a sub for this map. So Jaru comes in here for Mirror. So they decide to put in Jaru, damage dealer, who can play a lot of different things. Maybe we see more Mei now from the Gladiators on this map, coming in with Jaru.
Yeah, and that's a great mix-up. Jaru obviously can show up in a lot of those projectile-based heroes. The Hangzhou's there as well. I remember him just being like a really, really good... was that Doomfist back in the day? I know
Genji, he's a very good Genji player.
Yeah.
Genji, Pharah. So we'll see on defense, it'll be Seoul Dynasty to kick things off. Nothing too surprising there in terms of composition. The Orisa with the Sigma. Really, they've just been kind of changing out the supports and then maybe a damage dealer or two. But really, it's been all built around the control, the slow moves of the tanks.
Just a couple seconds now before we get into it, and it may be the Gladiators still going for the Tracer play here. They are. Looks like they're going to succumb to the pull of the Orisa Sigma setup. And they're going to be out of the doors now and see what they can get done. It's going to be up to Birdring again to wrap around and find some picks, try and pressure Bidosin down and make his life a little bit harder.
See what Jaru can get done as well, playing the Hangzhou. So Jaru comes in. We were wondering what he would play. He'll play the Hangzhou to kick things off. Just trying to put damage down in the choke.
Yeah, as soon as he finds a kill, it will be go time for this roster. So far, though, it's been a lot of shields and not much more, Matt, which is maybe not super surprising considering that they are dealing with. And just wrap around the point and get some position here. And you can see this is going to force Seoul now to play more towards that lower level on that left-hand side, just to try and stay safe in the mix.
Yes, we'll see how Seoul decides to play this. Coming up shortly is... Looks like some high ground control here for Seoul Dynasty as they wrap around.
Marvel wants to be here. It's interesting. Normally defensive teams go to the left side and not to the right side high ground. Maybe they want to set up for Fitz, allow the Hangzhou to do a little bit more damage and still be able to sit behind these shields. 2 minutes 52 here, so already some time being spent. And with Shaz out of position as he is here, it's going to be a long regroup for the Gladiators. They haven't found the answer yet. Space... And OG not really finding a lot of damage either. It's just shields on shields so far.
You do have some damage that comes down from the Seoul Dynasty tanks. So you see both of them sitting up near 60%, almost double the ult charge. The tanks of the Gladiators. Profit on Mei. See the icicles going into the halls. The walls able to split them off. They've done a nice job capitalizing on his walls. You see 2 headshots there to OG. Takes his health down to below half.
There. Yeah, he actually hits the ice block before the whole proc, so he doesn't get launched up into the air as you often do if you ice block as you're getting hit by that. Quite an important little trick. Fitz is down there. Birdring's finally found that kill he was looking for, and Jaru has a pretty safe position to play here. That Blizzard was wishful. I'm not really sure who Seoul were trying to catch with that one, but Prophet doesn't find his mark either way. And Jaru is able to sit here comfortably just getting that damage down. And you don't want to be here as your Marvel. It will be the Gladiators able to push on and take this point now. And, hey, they bring in Transcendence into this next fight. Dragon Strike there as well. If they're going to snowball this round, it's going to happen in this next fight.
Profit gets... If you have Birdring get a kill with this Pulse Bomb, like early on, then you have the Halt Dragon Strike combination, Gravitic Flux, both support ultimates by that time. You're in a great spot if you're the Gladiators to take point B rather quickly. It looks like they're going to try and take some high ground.
Yeah, OG at least, maybe considering setting up there. It's just going to be him for the time being, so there's not really much to shield. The Birdring again is on the hunt. Last time, it was Fitz that he picked up. This time, may also be the Hangzhou that is in his sights. Fitz immediately gets a Harmony Orb. Here is all heads turned in the direction of Birdring, so he repositions. Can still get behind Jesty here. Amplification Matrix is thrown up, and that force of the Transcendence out from Shad. Still this left side presence now for the Seoul Dynasty. So what do they do with this Transcendence? Space goes down. Bidosin eggs his team on, says we need to go forward now with this extra healing, but they don't find anything during the duration of that Transcendence. Tobias just has to turn his attention back to healing.
Well, but Ocean was getting harassed behind by Birdring, and he had to use the Transcendence to keep himself up. That's why you saw him come out of nowhere, fly down with the Transcendence, when they really didn't need it that much, as nothing was really going on at that time. So that's great for the Gladiators, because now they have a Gravitic Flux and no Transcendence on the other side. Still an Immortality field, but you'll take your odds in that. You'll take your chances there with that.
I think so, especially when at such a crucial juncture when you're trying to prevent a snowball from happening. Volskaya is not the kind of map that you want to go into attack, knowing your opponents have like 6 minutes in the time bank. It's awful. So Blizzard here for Profit. The question is going to be how can he hold everyone in place here on the side of the Gladiators? Have them just walk into it. Space looks like he wasn't actually committing to that sort of flank there. They need him in the front line. Birdring may have had the opportunity presented itself. But OG has the high ground now. They'll look to pressure shield down. He has to step up and challenge, though. There's going to be a Dragon Strike available for Fitz as Big Goose goes now for that rally. Fitz is forced to back away. Gesture went down as soon as he put that Supercharger down. What a weird sight, just seeing those two bongos sat next to each other. But the kill still came from Profit and Marvel in the backside of the fight. Profit overcommitting there perhaps a little bit on the Birdring, but it don't matter because Fitz and Toby are there to rescue.
Yeah, as it looks like this will be a hold for Seoul Dynasty as Fitz connects 2 towards the end. So you didn't get a chance to use that Gravitic Flux from space. You knew that they didn't have the Transcendence. You just were not able to get a use of it. Let's take a look here from Fitz's POV. Let's get the Storm Arrows down on the Shaz and then picks up one more.
Clean, very clean that last one on the Jaru as he came past. Not an easy shot. Birdring, of course, also going the way of the Weary. So a minute 52 now on the clock, and Seoul once again coming up onto some key ultimates here. Fitz getting an early pick on Jaru. That is inexcusable for the Gladiators now, and that's going to be a reset.
It's brutal because especially now you only have like what under a minute and 30 clock. Now you wait for Jaru to come back.
I know he will return. Birdring could look for something in the meantime, but again, there's not really a lot of options that are presenting themselves to him. He just has to go prospecting at this stage. We'll see if they actually come up with anything. Looks like Space gets caught out a little bit there. Birdring trying to wrap all around the backside there, looking for Bedos, and he has a pulse bomb. Doesn't need it though.
Still just a minute on the clock now. It's the Gladiators running out of time. Take 2 players out, and now with only 40 seconds left, you're in trouble.
All right, I think my my footage is back, Matthew. Thanks for hanging in there. 25 seconds left in the round. No, I just wasn't going to cast a slideshow, that's all. Here comes a hold, up to the high ground. 20 seconds left in the round. There has to be something here. The Gladiators haven't got themselves a tick at all so far. Birdring off to the side, you know that's what he's looking for. A way to open this one up, a way to get an advantage. Gets a repair pack just in case, and it's Godspeed from Big Goose to send him in. Accretion from Marvel, not sure where that was going, but it's final fight time now. There has to be a touch, looks like there was. Big Goose stepping up to the point, there goes Birdring. Holding on to that pulse bomb, still. But Profit might have caught a couple people. He immediately heads turned in his direction, though. 3 Gladiators players didn't feel great about that. And Profit, he loses his Blizzard there to Kinetic Grasp, but it might not matter. He's still able to respond and get the headshot on Space. More freezes, more freezes, he says. I make a world of ice out of you, and the Gladiators struggling to deal with that pressure. It's just Birdring now, and yeah, he's being supercharged, but he gets halted in and taken down, and that will be no point B take for the Gladiators. They'll have to settle for just the 1 point. And that puts them in dire straits here once the Dynasty mat have a chance to attack themselves.
They had a few opportunities to Gladiators, but it just seemed like it took a long time for any of them to develop. Like, there were opportunities a lot of time that time bank. Like, okay, we can get a good fight here. We have an ultimate advantage, or we have a small window. We can make something happen. And they just were never able to capitalize on it. And I think against a team like Seoul Dynasty, I think it's definitely going to come back to bite them a bit. I think Seoul has a very good chance to finish this series here.
Yeah. Look, Jaru's looking good, comes in on the Hangzhou. So, you know, the problem for him, I think, is that he's been struggling to get into positions where he can find those final blows. He actually only has 3 so far, as opposed to Fitz's 10. they definitely need their Hangzhou slot to be delivering. And yeah, we dropped that a little bit there briefly, ladies and gentlemen, just because our game feed was frozen. So I was still here, but again, I couldn't actually see what was going on. Are we back now? It's all Gucci. Yeah,
that's the real test, right? Can you cast when you can't see anything going on? I think I think that would really prove your worth as a commentator.
I thought about making it up, but then I realized that everyone could still see it.
So to be honest, on point A, when you threw to me at one point, I didn't see what was going on, and then I just assumed that they had rotated to the high ground, and then they popped up on the high ground.
I got a new frame, like
super smart.
I got a new frame like every 1 or 2 seconds, so I was just going from those and just hoping there'd be another one. Eventually, though, I ran out of rope. Either way, we're out of the gates here for the Seoul Dynasty, looking to secure this series now and really start to stamp their dominance over the Pacific region. And we'll see Jaru once again on that Hangzhou. I'll be honest, he has to do big things here. The Gladiators have to really need to get a full stop. I mean, another draw, they don't want to go to control map. There'll be 2 control maps at the end of the series if we require them, and Seoul looked to be the better team on the poll earlier on.
And I think it would be interesting to see it go back to control from the standpoint. I'd like to see what the Gladiators are able to do with like this Tracer Hangzhou setup, instead of just playing like Ryan Zarya Doom.
Sure.
But still, I would definitely favor Seoul Dynasty in that. Looks like Birdring trying to make a play, dodges the accretion. So one big stun miss there from Seoul Dynasty.
There it is, Marvel gets caught. Yeah, the entirety of the Gladiators are able to converge on him, but Fitz able to catch Jaru out as he dropped to the low ground. So, Hangzhou down now for the Gladiators, but Birdring is still alive, and he's making sure that everyone knows it. Can't find Bidosin, no good response from Toby to keep him alive, but the lack of healing on Prophet really hurt him. Jester's trying to back around a corner here, fortified and staying alive, but only Justin. The Gladiators look like they've started this one off well. I mean, there is draw potential here, and even a map win if they can get it.
Marvel comes back on D.Va. Maybe he thought that was winnable, just trying to get back into the fight rather quickly, but expect him to go back to Sigma. So Discord Orb, 1 shot to the leg, takes him out. So we have not really seen the D.Va from Marvel today. I think we saw for like maybe a split second, yeah, and then he switched right off of it. So goes back to Sigma. Not really working with much here for Seoul. You just got your Ant Matrix, maybe try and get some high ground yet again. High ground much harder to access without the Lucio. You saw the Holds being able to just pull Marvel back in. Get held up behind the rest of the team.
Good Maywall here from Prophet, Matt. That's what they're looking for. Set that up with an Ant Matrix. Again, like we saw in Eichenwald, force the Gladiators to stand out in the open. Pulse Bomb, that got rid of Toby's Immortality Field. Prophet took a lot of damage from that though as well, and they've lost their support. So, as the Dynasty have tried to make their way up the stairs, there's people like, playing down on the point and picking off the supports.
Yes, OG was set up on the high ground there. As they try and push up into him, it's very difficult, right? You try to walk up the stairs, OG's just pummeling you with bullets, playing the Orisa, and you can't really kind of stand in no man's land just outside of the doorway because you have the Hangzhou damage, the damage from the Zenyatta, able to land the Discord Orbs right above the shields. It's a very difficult spot for Seoul to push.
This full hold looking more possible now. There is still a tick already for the Dynasty. It looks like that Dragon Strike from Jaru came out primarily because Fitz fired his. It's hard to tell what sort of precipitated that ult usage, but Jaru gets Toby. Huge pick now. The Dynasty are running out of time, and it looks like the Gladiators are building up ahead of steam. Jaru can now retreat back to this high ground perch, just chill out now. I mean, looking at where Marvel is right now, you can just see how split Seoul are, but they're going to go for it anyway. They commit, and they open Jaru up to get yet another kill. Jaru does need to stay alive here, so he wisely backs away, plays a low ground behind this Orisa shield for a little longer.
You do end up using your rally there, as that'll be an Ant Matrix, but oh, they get Fitz here early, right as the Ant Matrix goes down from Toby. That's a really bad death, but you do get a trade here as Jaru falls. OG falls as well, as now Seoul Dynasty has an advantage.
Gravitic Flux catches Marvel. That should get rid of him. Oh, he drops into the Transcenders just in time. He actually gets healed as he falls. Otherwise, he would have died because he was down to less than half health.
They had an Immortality field there as well.
Yeah, Shaz down in the Seoul Dynasty. Now they're starting to make the Gladiators sweat just a little bit more. They'll have this point A. They'll have a decent amount of time to hit point B and some key ultimates to help crack it open. All they need is one tick to win the series.
You have a Blizzard Supercharger combo to do it. And could you ask for a better ult combo for Seoul Dynasty right now? I don't think you could. I mean, you're going to have a Gravitic Flux as well to use no support ultimates online for the LA Gladiators as they are in dire straits.
You just can't mess this up. this fight, if you do use those ultimates and then you lost them, you may not have the time to get them back.
If you get this fight right, it's an automatic win there.
Gravitic Flux. Everyone comes down. It's a mess, but Space gets called out. That's one down. 5 players now remain on the Gladiators here. Gesture was being hunted down, but he was sat on top of a mega health pack, and the Dynasty have just broken their way through. The Gladiators knew it would be a long slog to try and hold out, but they didn't even know it would be this hard. The Seoul Dynasty have broken through. They were denied on Eichenwald, but it will not be on Volskaya. And they'll catch the series 3-0 with 1 draw in the mix, but they've shown up, and again, I'll reiterate myself, one of the top teams coming out of this division.
Yeah, I think they're one of the top teams in the league. I think Seoul Dynasty has a very good chance to be one of the strongest teams in the league this season, with the added pieces they got from the London Spitfire, plus the good holdovers that they had from last year's roster. At first, everybody was a little bit worried about this team because you kind of got like, oh, well, they're just rebuilding London, and London wasn't that great. But you look at some of the pieces that they kept, like, Fitz and Marvel, Michelle on the bench. Like, very good players comboed now with Gesture and Prophet and Bedosian. You have a powerhouse team.
I mean, one play that maybe needs a bit more mention, he did get started last year, but it was Fitz. I mean, in a team composition where Prophet's playing a lot of the main and a lot of the utility, someone like Fitz has to really step up and be the difference maker. And when it came to Hangzhou, was it McCree as well on towards Rialto and maps like that? He really showed up. Definite player of the match today.
Oh yeah, he was phenomenal today for the Seoul Dynasty. He was able to make the plays on McCree, on Hangzhou, and I think as Prophet, and he's so good, right? He opens up so much of the map for another damage dealer. Like, look at Birdring when they made that Grand Finals run, and they win it all. And on the Widowmaker, he was fantastic. What was that? Prophet's Tracer and Hangzhou really kind of opening up a lot of that. If Prophet can open things up, whether it be the Mei, the Tracer, the Hangzhou, Farah, it's Fitz's job to get it done at that point. Today, he was great.
Yeah, I mean, he's being put in a position where he might not actually be the most important DPS player on his team, because you need the Mei to be firing on all cylinders if you're going to play her, but you need to be racking up a ton of kills. You just need to be, frankly, really efficient. And he did that. We saw Jaru came in for Volskaya and had some good moments, but in general, Jaru was outclassed by Fitz. Whether it was because he was put in the position to get those kills or not, he was not able to shine in the same way that Fitz was able to over the course of the series, over a multitude of different picks. We even saw Doomfist from Fitz there. A lot of looks from the Seoul Dynasty, and they look really confident considering this is the team that dealt handily with the San Francisco Shock earlier this week. The Seoul Dynasty didn't really seem to mind.
Yeah, and I think Seoul, when you look at hero pools, Gesture is a very good Orisa. We know what he can do on the Winston and the Wrecking Ball and the Reinhardt. I know Marvel, we've seen him play main tank, now some off tank in certain situations. And then with Prophet and Fitz, you're kind of covered everywhere. I think it's a very strong team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm impressed with what we've seen from Seoul so far. They're definitely, while they keep playing in this division, I expect to see, teams like the Gladiators come back against them again. They will play once more. Teams like the Valiant, but especially the Shock coming in. And speaking of which, our next match is going to be great for all those California fans. It's North versus South. It is going to be the Los Angeles Valiant versus the San Francisco Shock. It's happening right here in both of your ears this time, right after the break.